At 3:00 in the morning, I heard them laughing in my kitchen. My daughter and her husband were celebrating something, clinking glasses, their voices carrying through the walls of what used to be my sanctuary. I stood in the darkness of my bedroom, holding the envelope I had just found hidden in their room. Inside were forged documents with my signature, documents that would transfer everything I owned into their names. My hands trembled, not from age, but from a rage so pure it felt like ice in my veins. Tomorrow, they would try to make me sign the real papers. But what they didn't know was that I had already called someone. Someone who would make sure that by sunrise, their perfect plan would be destroyed. The laughter downstairs grew louder. I could hear my daughter, Rebecca, practically squealing with excitement. "We did it, Marcus. We actually did it. By this time tomorrow, everything will be ours." Marcus, my son-in-law, responded with that smooth voice that once made me think he was charming. "Your mother never suspected a thing. She's so trusting, so naive. It was almost too easy." I pressed my back against the bedroom door, the envelope clutched to my chest. My heart was hammering so hard I thought it might burst. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be my Rebecca, my baby girl. The daughter I had raised alone after her father died when she was only 3 years old. But it was real. The evidence was in my hands. Forged signatures, fraudulent power of attorney documents, bank transfer forms. All carefully prepared, all waiting for the moment when they would convince me to make things easier by signing everything over. I walked to my window and looked out at the quiet suburban street. Willow Creek Lane had been my home for 35 years. I had planted every tree in my yard with my late husband, Daniel. We had painted the shutters together, built the garden fence, chosen every piece of furniture with love and care, and now my own daughter wanted to take it all. I checked my phone. 3:17 a.m., Attorney Vincent. Morrison had said he would arrive at 5:09 a.m. before Rebecca and Marcus woke up. He had insisted on coming early, said we needed the element of surprise. "Mrs. Diane," he had told me just hours ago when I called him in desperation, "what your daughter is planning is not just unethical. It's criminal. But we need to catch them in the act. We need them to reveal their true intentions with witnesses present." I sat on the edge of my bed, still fully dressed. I hadn't slept at all. How could I? How could I close my eyes knowing that the two people sleeping in my guest room, eating my food, pretending to care about me, were actually predators waiting to devour everything I had left? But I'm getting ahead of myself. If you want to understand how a 71-year-old widow ended up hiding in her own bedroom at 3 in the morning, clutching evidence of her daughter's betrayal, I need to take you back. Back to the day 6 months ago when I made the biggest mistake of my life. The day I said yes when Rebecca asked to move in. It was a Thursday in late September. I remember because the maple trees were just starting to turn that brilliant orange that Daniel always loved. I had spent the morning at the farmer's market buying fresh tomatoes and basil to make my famous pasta sauce. I was planning a quiet dinner alone, maybe a glass of wine, some classical music on the record player. My phone rang just as I was putting away the groceries. "Mom?" Rebecca's voice sounded strained, tearful. My heart immediately jumped into my throat. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? Are you okay?" "Mom, I need to talk to you. Can I come over? It's important. It's really important." "Of course, darling. Come now. Do you want me to make lunch?" "No, Mom. I'm not hungry. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She hung up before I could ask anything else. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. I paced the living room, imagining every terrible possibility. Was she sick? Was she in some kind of trouble? Had something happened to Marcus? When her car finally pulled into my driveway, I was already at the door. Rebecca stepped out, and my heart broke at the sight of her. Her eyes were red and swollen from crying. Her hair, usually so perfectly styled, was pulled back in a messy ponytail. She was wearing sweatpants and an old college t-shirt. "Mom." She collapsed into my arms the moment she reached the porch, sobbing. I held her tight, stroking her hair like I used to when she was a little girl with scraped knees and hurt feelings. "It's okay, baby. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay. Come inside." We sat on the couch, and she cried for a solid 10 minutes before she could even speak. I made her chamomile tea, brought her tissues, waited patiently. Finally, she looked up at me with those blue eyes that were exactly like her father's. "Mom, we lost everything." "What do you mean, everything?" "The condo, Marcus's business, all our savings, everything." I felt my stomach drop. "How? What happened?" Rebecca took a shaky breath. "Marcus's partner, Greg, he embezzled from the company. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. The business went bankrupt. We couldn't pay our mortgage. The bank foreclosed on our condo last month." "Last month? Why didn't you tell me sooner?" "I was ashamed, Mom. We were ashamed. We've been staying in a cheap motel trying to figure things out, but..." She started crying again. "We can't afford it anymore. We have nowhere to go." I pulled her close. "Oh, sweetheart, you should have called me immediately. You know I would help." "I know, but I'm 38 years old, Mom. I'm supposed to have my life together. I'm supposed to be taking care of you, not the other way around." "That's nonsense. You're my daughter. I will always be here for you, no matter what." She looked at me with hope shining through her tears. "Mom, I need to ask you something. Something big. Anything. Can Marcus and I stay here? Just temporarily. Just until we get back on our feet. Maybe 3 or 4 months, just until Marcus finds a new job and we can save up for a deposit on an apartment." I didn't hesitate for even a second. "Of course you can stay. This is your home. It will always be your home." Rebecca threw her arms around me. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means to us." Marcus arrived 2 hours later with a U-Haul truck. I was surprised by how much stuff they had. For people who claimed to have lost everything, they certainly had a lot of boxes. "Thank you, Diane," Marcus said, giving me a hug that felt slightly too tight, too performative. "You're saving our lives, literally saving our lives." Marcus had always been charming, tall, handsome, with dark hair graying at the temples and a smile that made you feel like you were the most important person in the room. He was a successful businessman, or at least he had been. Real estate development, commercial properties, the kind of deals that involved lots of money and important people. Rebecca had been so proud when she married him 5 years ago. "Mom, he's going to take care of me the way Dad would have wanted," she had said at the wedding, and I had cried happy tears. Now, watching them unload box after box, I felt only sympathy. Life could be so cruel. One day you're on top of the world, the next day you're moving into your elderly mother-in-law's house. But I had this big house all to myself. 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a finished basement. Since Daniel died 8 years ago, I had rattled around in here like a marble in an empty box. Having Rebecca home again, having family around, maybe it would be good for me too. Maybe I wouldn't be so lonely. How stupid I was. How incredibly, devastatingly stupid. The first week was actually pleasant. Rebecca cooked dinner every night, delicious meals with fresh ingredients. Marcus helped me fix the loose railing on the back porch that I had been meaning to repair for months. We watched movies together in the evening, the 3 of us on the couch like a real family. I started to think that maybe this arrangement would be good for all of us. But then small things started to change. It began with the living room. I came home from my book club one Tuesday afternoon to find that all the furniture had been rearranged. The couch that Daniel and I had positioned to face the fireplace was now against the opposite wall. His reading chair, the leather recliner where he spent countless hours with his mystery novels, had been moved to the corner, facing away from the window. "Rebecca, why did you move everything?" She looked up from her laptop at the dining table. "Oh, Mom, I hope you don't mind. The energy flow was all wrong. I've been reading about feng shui, and the way things were arranged was blocking positive qi. You'll sleep so much better now, trust me." But I liked it the way it was. Your father and I arranged it that way. Rebecca's smile tightened slightly. "Mom, Dad's been gone for 8 years. You can't keep living in a museum. Don't you want to move forward? Don't you want to feel better?" The word stung. Was I living in a museum? Was I stuck in the past? I guess it's fine. It just feels different. Different is good, Mom. Different is healthy. The next day, I noticed that Daniel's photograph, the one that had sat on the mantel for years, our wedding photo where he was carrying me over the threshold, was gone. Rebecca, where's the wedding picture? Oh, I moved it to your bedroom, Mom. I thought you'd want it somewhere more private, more intimate. The living room should be for guests, you know, not like a shrine. A shrine, that word again. But I liked seeing it every day. And now you can see it every night before you sleep. Isn't that better? I wanted to argue, but something in her tone made me hesitate. She was doing me a favor, staying here, helping out. Was I really going to complain about a photograph? Okay, I said quietly, that's fine. But it wasn't fine. Nothing was fine. Over the next few weeks, more changes came. Small at first, then increasingly significant. Rebecca replaced my kitchen curtains, the yellow gingham ones I had made myself, with modern gray blinds. These are more contemporary, Mom, more sophisticated. She threw away my collection of ceramic roosters that I had collected over 20 years. These are so dated, Mom. Nobody has roosters anymore. It looks like a country kitchen from the 1990s. She donated my quilts to Goodwill, the ones my mother had hand-stitched. They were falling apart, Mom, full of dust mites. I got you new ones from Target, much more hygienic. Every time I objected, she had the same response. Mom, you need to update. You need to let go of the past. You need to embrace change. And every time, I felt a little smaller, a little less certain, a little more like a guest in my own home. Marcus was subtler, but no less invasive. He started using Daniel's workshop in the garage, moving tools around, throwing away things he deemed junk. Daniel's vintage record collection disappeared one day. Marcus, where are Daniel's records? Oh, those old things. Diane, they were warped and scratched, totally unplayable. I took them to the recycling center. But look, I set you up with a Spotify account. You can listen to anything you want now. Isn't that better? Those records had been Daniel's pride and joy. Jazz albums from the 1950s and 60s, some of them rare, some of them irreplaceable. And Marcus had thrown them away like garbage. I wish you had asked me first. Diane, I was doing you a favor. That garage was packed with junk. I'm creating functional space. You should be thanking me. I should be thanking him for throwing away my husband's treasured possessions, for erasing pieces of my history. I went to my bedroom and cried, quietly so they wouldn't hear. That night, I called my best friend, Margaret Chen. We had known each other for 40 years, ever since our daughters were in elementary school together. Margaret, am I being unreasonable? About what, honey? I told her everything. The furniture, the photographs, the records, the quilts. There was a long silence on the other end of the line. Diane, listen to me carefully. What Rebecca and Marcus are doing, it's called erasure. They're erasing your history, your identity, to make room for theirs. But she's just trying to help me modernize. Bullshit. Sorry, but bullshit. You don't modernize someone's home by throwing away their memories without permission. That's not help, that's control. She's my daughter, Margaret. I know, honey, and that makes it worse, not better, because you want to trust her. You want to believe she has your best interests at heart. But I'm telling you, as your friend, you need to set some boundaries. Now, before this goes too far. Maybe you're right. I know I'm right. I've seen this before. My cousin Linda, her son moved in, and within 6 months she didn't recognize her own house. By the time she realized what was happening, it was too late. Too late for what? They had her declared incompetent, took power of attorney, put her in a nursing home, sold her house. Linda died 6 months later, heartbroken. My blood went cold. That wouldn't happen to me. Rebecca would never. I hope you're right, Diane. I really do. But promise me you'll be careful. Promise me you'll watch for red flags. I promise. But even as I said it, I wondered if I would recognize the red flags when I saw them, or if I'd make excuses until it was too late. It was late October when Marcus first asked me about money. We were sitting at the dinner table, the three of us eating the pot roast I had made. Rebecca was unusually quiet, pushing food around her plate. "Diane," Marcus began, using that warm, concerned tone that I had learned meant he wanted something. "I need to talk to you about something important, something financial." My stomach tightened. "Okay. Rebecca and I have been looking for jobs, as you know, but the market is tough right now, really tough. And we have some debts that are coming due. Credit cards, medical bills from when we had that health insurance gap. How much do you need? That's the thing. I don't want to borrow money from you. That's not why we're here. But—" He paused, looking at Rebecca, who still wouldn't meet my eyes. "We were hoping you might co-sign on a loan for us. Just a small business loan, $50,000. I have an opportunity to get in on a new development deal, a sure thing, and it would get us back on our feet." $50,000. My hands went cold. "Marcus, I don't know anything about business loans." "You don't need to know anything. You just need to sign. Your credit is excellent, and you have this house as collateral. The bank would approve it immediately, and we'd pay it back within a year, I promise. But if you can't pay it back—" "We will. Diane, this is a guaranteed return. I've been in real estate development for 20 years. I know a good deal when I see one." I looked at Rebecca, hoping she would say something, anything, but she just stared at her plate. "I need to think about it." Marcus's smile tightened. "Of course. Take your time. But the opportunity won't last forever. These things move fast in the business world." That night I couldn't sleep. $50,000 was my emergency fund, money I had saved carefully over the years. Money that was supposed to last me through retirement, through any unexpected medical bills, through whatever life threw at me in my old age. But they were family. Rebecca was my daughter. If they were really in trouble, shouldn't I help? I called my financial advisor, Robert Huang, the next morning. "Diane, absolutely not. Do not co-sign that loan." "But Robert, they're family. I don't care if they're the Pope. Co-signing a loan means you're fully responsible if they default. And given their current financial situation, the likelihood of default is extremely high. You could lose everything." Marcus says it's a sure thing. There's no such thing as a sure thing in real estate development, especially not right now. "Diane, please listen to me. Protect your assets. If you want to help them, give them a small amount you can afford to lose. But do not put your house at risk." "You're right. You're absolutely right." That evening at dinner, I told Marcus I couldn't co-sign the loan. His face went cold. Not angry, just cold, like a door slamming shut. "I see. Marcus, it's not that I don't want to help. It's just that my financial advisor said—" "Your financial advisor doesn't know me, doesn't know my track record, doesn't know this opportunity." "I'm sorry." Rebecca finally spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's fine, Mom. We understand. We'll figure something else out." But the way she said it, the hurt in her voice, made me feel like I had just abandoned them in their darkest hour. The next week, the atmosphere in the house changed. Rebecca and Marcus were distant, cold. They ate dinner in their room. They barely spoke to me. When they did, it was clipped, polite, but devoid of warmth. I felt like I was being punished. On Friday evening, I found Rebecca crying in the kitchen. "Sweetheart, what's wrong?" "Nothing, Mom. I'm fine." "You're obviously not fine. Talk to me." She wiped her eyes. "It's just, we got a notice today. One of our credit cards is in collections. They're threatening to sue us. And there's nothing we can do about it because we don't have any money and you won't help us." The guilt hit me like a physical blow. "Rebecca, that's not fair. I didn't say I wouldn't help. I just can't co-sign a loan that could cost me my house." "Right, your house. The house you live in all alone. The house you're going to leave to me anyway when you die. But you won't take a tiny risk to help your own daughter when she's drowning." "That's not what I—" "Forget it, Mom. Just forget it. We'll handle it ourselves. We always do. We should have known better than to ask for help." She left the kitchen, leaving me standing there with tears streaming down my face. That night I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, Margaret's words echoing in my mind. You need to set boundaries. But how do you set boundaries with your own child? How do you say no when they're suffering? The next morning, I made a decision I would regret for the rest of my life. I went to Marcus and Rebecca's room and knocked on the door. Come in, Marcus called. They were both sitting on the bed, looking at papers spread out around them. I've been thinking about the loan, I said, and I've decided I'll co-sign. Rebecca's face lit up. She jumped off the bed and hugged me so tight I could barely breathe. Oh, Mom, thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know what this means to us. Marcus smiled, that charming, winning smile. You're saving our lives, Diane. I promise you won't regret this. But I already did. We went to the bank the following Monday. I signed form after form, barely reading them, trusting that Marcus knew what he was doing. The loan officer, a young woman named Jennifer, pulled me aside at one point. Mrs. Carlson, you understand that if the borrowers default on this loan, you are fully responsible for the entire amount plus interest? I understand. And you're aware that your home is being used as collateral? Yes. She looked at me with something like pity. Okay, as long as you understand the risks. I signed the final paper, and that was it. $50,000 borrowed against my home, against Daniel's memory, against my future security. Marcus shook my hand. Thank you, Diane. Seriously, you won't regret this. 6 months from now, this loan will be paid off, and we'll all be celebrating. 6 months from now, I would discover the truth. 6 months from now, I would find out that there was no business opportunity. 6 months from now, I would learn that Marcus had used that money to pay off his gambling debts. But I didn't know any of that yet. So I smiled and hugged Rebecca and told myself I had done the right thing. That night, I found Margaret's phone number and stared at it for a long time. But I didn't call, because I didn't want to hear her say, I told you so. I didn't want to admit that I had just made a terrible, irreversible mistake. It was early December when Rebecca started complaining about headaches. Mom, do you have any aspirin? In the bathroom cabinet. Are you okay? Yeah, just a headache. I've been getting them a lot lately. A few days later, she mentioned them again. And again. Always casual, always dismissive, but constant enough that I started to worry. Rebecca, maybe you should see a doctor. It's nothing, Mom. Probably just stress. But then came the morning I found her in the bathroom, leaning over the sink, her face pale and sweaty. Rebecca, I rushed to her side. What's wrong? I'm fine, just dizzy. You're not fine. When was the last time you ate? I don't know. Yesterday? I haven't had much appetite. I made her sit down, brought her water and crackers. Marcus appeared in the doorway, his face creased with concern. Babe, what's going on? She's sick, I said. She needs to see a doctor immediately. Marcus knelt beside her, taking her hand. We can't afford a doctor right now, Diane. We don't have insurance. I'll pay for it. This is serious. Rebecca looked up at me with tears in her eyes. Mom, you've already done so much for us. I can't ask you to... You're not asking. I'm insisting. Let's go. Now. We went to the urgent care clinic. The doctor examined Rebecca, asked questions, ordered blood work. I'd like to run some additional tests, the doctor said. Some of your symptoms concern me. What kind of symptoms? I asked, my heart racing. The headaches combined with the dizziness and nausea could indicate several things. Most likely it's nothing serious, but I want to rule out neurological issues. Neurological issues. My blood went cold. What does that mean? Rebecca asked, her voice shaking. It could be migraines. It could be an inner ear problem. But I want to do an MRI just to be safe, to make sure there's nothing abnormal. Abnormal. Like a tumor, like cancer, like death. Rebecca started crying. Marcus held her, and I held them both. The MRI was scheduled for the following week. It cost $200. I paid it without hesitation. The waiting was torture. Rebecca stayed in bed most days, complaining of worsening headaches. I brought her soup, medication, cool compresses. I sat with her and held her hand and prayed to a God I wasn't sure I believed in anymore. Please, not my daughter. Take me instead, please. The results came back 2 weeks later. Rebecca insisted I come to the doctor's appointment with them. We sat in the small examination room, the three of us squeezed together, waiting for Dr. Patel to come in with the results. When she finally entered, her face was serious. I have good news and concerning news, she began. My heart stopped. The good news is that the MRI shows no tumors, no aneurysms, nothing immediately life-threatening. I exhaled so hard I felt dizzy. The concerning news is that I'm seeing some irregularities that warrant further investigation. I want you to see a neurologist. Dr. Richard Chen at City Medical Center is one of the best. I've already called his office and explained the situation. What kind of irregularities? Marcus asked. I don't want to speculate until the specialist has reviewed everything. But I think it's important we be thorough. More tests, more doctors, more money. The appointment with the neurologist cost $800. He ordered more tests. An EEG to measure brain activity. Another round of blood work to check for autoimmune disorders. A spinal tap to rule out infections. Each test cost hundreds of dollars, sometimes over $1,000. I paid for all of it, every single bill. My savings account, once healthy with over $80,000, dwindled rapidly. $75,000, $70,000, $65,000. But it was worth it. It was my daughter's life. Rebecca grew weaker, or so it seemed. She stayed in bed most days. She barely ate. She cried a lot. Marcus was devoted, constantly at her side, bringing her water, adjusting her pillows, speaking in soft, soothing tones. I have to admit, I saw a different side of him during this time. A caring side. A loving side. Maybe I had been wrong about him. Maybe he really did love my daughter. By mid-January, we had spent over $12,000 on medical tests, and still no diagnosis. These things take time, Dr. Chen assured us. We're being thorough. We're ruling things out systematically. But Rebecca seemed to be getting worse. She started having episodes where she couldn't remember things. She'd forget conversations we'd had. She'd lose track of what day it was. Mom, I'm scared, she whispered to me one night when Marcus had gone to the pharmacy. What if it's something really bad? What if I'm dying? You're not dying. We're going to figure this out. What if we don't? What if the doctors never find what's wrong? Then we'll keep looking. We'll go to specialists in other cities. We'll do whatever it takes. She grabbed my hand. Promise me something. Anything. If something happens to me, promise you'll take care of Marcus. He has nobody else, no family. You're all he has. Tears streamed down my face. Nothing is going to happen to you. Don't talk like that. Promise me. I promise. In late January, Dr. Chen called us in for a consultation. I've reviewed all the test results with my colleagues, he said, his expression grave. And I believe we're dealing with a rare autoimmune disorder affecting the nervous system. It's serious, but it's treatable. Treatable how? Marcus asked. There's a new treatment protocol. It involves a series of immunotherapy infusions. It's expensive, and unfortunately, most insurance companies won't cover it because it's considered experimental. How expensive? I asked. The full course of treatment is $45,000. The room spun. $45,000. On top of the $12,000 we'd already spent. On top of the $50,000 loan. That would empty my savings completely. But it was Rebecca's life. I'll pay it, I said immediately. Mom, no. Rebecca was crying. That's too much. I can't let you. I don't care about the money. I care about you. Mrs. Carlson, Dr. Chen said gently. I should mention that this treatment has about a 60% success rate. There's no guarantee it will work. But there's a chance. Yes, there's a chance. Then we're doing it. I went to the bank the next day and withdrew $45,000 from my savings account. The teller looked at me with concern. Mrs. Carlson, this is a very large withdrawal. Are you sure about this? I'm sure. If you don't mind me asking, what is this for? My daughter's medical treatment. She nodded slowly. Okay, just be careful. There are a lot of scams out there targeting elderly people. This isn't a scam, it's my daughter's doctor. She processed the withdrawal, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I gave the check to Dr. Chen's office the following week. The treatment would begin in February. That night, I looked at my bank statement. My savings account now had $8,000 left. $8,000 after a lifetime of careful saving. But it was worth it. It had to be worth it, because what kind of mother puts money before her child's life? It was a Tuesday afternoon in late February. I had gone to my monthly luncheon with the ladies from my church. We met at the same Italian restaurant we'd been going to for 15 years, and we spent 2 hours eating pasta and catching up on each other's lives. I hadn't told them about Rebecca's illness. I don't know why. Maybe because saying it out loud made it more real. After lunch, I drove to the pharmacy to pick up Rebecca's prescriptions. As I was waiting in line, I saw someone who looked familiar sitting in the cafe area of the store. It was Rebecca. My heart leaped. She was out of bed. She must be feeling better. I was about to call out to her when I noticed she wasn't alone. She was with a woman I didn't recognize, and they were laughing. Actually laughing. Rebecca looked healthy. Her color was good. Her eyes were bright. She was drinking an iced coffee and eating a scone. I stood there, frozen, my prescription in my hand. This was the same Rebecca who had been too weak to get out of bed that morning. The same Rebecca who couldn't eat, who could barely hold a conversation. And here she was in public, looking perfectly fine. I approached their table slowly. "Rebecca?" She looked up, and the color drained from her face. For a moment, she looked like she might run. "Mom, hi, I was just—" "You were just what? I thought you were too sick to leave the house." The woman with her stood up awkwardly. "I should go. Rebecca, I'll text you." "Wait," I said. "Who are you?" "I'm Ashley, Rebecca's friend from high school. We were just catching up." She left quickly, and Rebecca and I were alone. "Sit down, Mom." "I don't understand. You said you were too dizzy to walk to the bathroom this morning. Now you're at the pharmacy cafe drinking coffee?" Rebecca's expression changed. The sick, fragile look disappeared, replaced by something harder. "Sit down," she repeated, "and keep your voice down." I sat. "Mom, I can explain." "Please do." She took a deep breath. "I'm not sick." The words didn't make sense. I heard them, but they didn't penetrate. "What? I'm not sick. There's nothing wrong with me. The headaches, the dizziness, all of it." I was exaggerating. Exaggerating? "Rebecca, we've spent months." "Mrs. Carlson, this is a very large withdrawal. Are you sure about this?" "I'm sure." "If you don't mind me asking, what is this for?" "My daughter's medical treatment." She nodded slowly. "Okay, just be careful. There are a lot of scams out there targeting elderly people. This isn't a scam, it's my daughter's doctor." She processed the withdrawal, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I gave the check to Dr. Chen's office the following week. The treatment would begin in February. That night, I looked at my bank statement. My savings account now had $8,000 left. $8,000 after a lifetime of careful saving. But it was worth it. It had to be worth it, because what kind of mother puts money before her child's life? It was a Tuesday afternoon in late February. I had gone to my monthly luncheon with the ladies from my church. We met at the same Italian restaurant we'd been going to for 15 years, and we spent 2 hours eating pasta and catching up on each other's lives. I hadn't told them about Rebecca's illness. I don't know why. Maybe because saying it out loud made it more real. After lunch, I drove to the pharmacy to pick up Rebecca's prescriptions. As I was waiting in line, I saw someone who looked familiar sitting in the cafe area of the store. It was Rebecca. My heart leaped. She was out of bed. She must be feeling better. I was about to call out to her when I noticed she wasn't alone. She was with a woman I didn't recognize, and they were laughing. Actually laughing. Rebecca looked healthy. Her color was good. Her eyes were bright. She was drinking an iced coffee and eating a scone. I stood there, frozen, my prescription in my hand. This was the same Rebecca who had been too weak to get out of bed that morning. The same Rebecca who couldn't eat, who could barely hold a conversation. And here she was in public, looking perfectly fine. I approached their table slowly. "Rebecca?" She looked up, and the color drained from her face. For a moment, she looked like she might run. "Mom, hi, I was just—" "You were just what? I thought you were too sick to leave the house." The woman with her stood up awkwardly. "I should go. Rebecca, I'll text you." "Wait," I said. "Who are you?" "I'm Ashley, Rebecca's friend from high school. We were just catching up." She left quickly, and Rebecca and I were alone. "Sit down, Mom." "I don't understand. You said you were too dizzy to walk to the bathroom this morning. Now you're at the pharmacy cafe drinking coffee?" Rebecca's expression changed. The sick, fragile look disappeared, replaced by something harder. "Sit down," she repeated, "and keep your voice down." I sat. "Mom, I can explain." "Please do." She took a deep breath. "I'm not sick." The words didn't make sense. I heard them, but they didn't penetrate. "What? I'm not sick. There's nothing wrong with me. The headaches, the dizziness, all of it." I was exaggerating. Exaggerating? "Rebecca, we've spent months." I know what we've spent, and I'm sorry, Mom. I really am. But we were desperate. We needed money, and you wouldn't help us anymore after the loan." The world tilted sideways. "You lied about being sick?" I wasn't completely lying. I do get headaches sometimes. I just made them seem worse than they were. "What about the tests? The MRI? The neurologist?" "Those were real. We needed documentation to make it believable. But the treatment—" She lowered her voice. "There is no treatment, Mom. There never was." "The $45,000. We used it to pay off debts. Credit cards, some loans Marcus took out. We were drowning, Mom. We didn't know what else to do." I couldn't breathe. The cafe was spinning around me. "You stole from me." "It wasn't stealing. You gave it willingly. You wanted to help." "Because I thought you were dying." Several people at nearby tables turned to look at us. Rebecca reached for my hand, but I pulled away. "Mom, please, try to understand. We were desperate." "So you manipulated me? You pretended to have a terminal illness so I would give you money?" "It's not like that." "What is it like then? Explain it to me, Rebecca. Make me understand how my daughter, my own daughter, could do this to me." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It was Marcus's idea, but I went along with it. I know that doesn't make it better. I know I'm just as guilty." "Marcus's idea? He said you had way more money than you needed. He said you were going to leave it all to me anyway, so why not use it now when we actually need it?" I stood up. My legs were shaking so badly I had to grab the table for support. "I need to go home." "Mom, wait. Please, can we talk about this?" "Talk about what? How you destroyed my trust? How you bankrupted me? How you lied to my face every single day for months?" "Mom!" "I need you out of my house." Her face went white. "What?" "I want you and Marcus out, today." "Mom, you can't be serious. We have nowhere to go." "You should have thought of that before you decided to con your own mother." I walked out of the pharmacy, got in my car, and drove home on autopilot. When I arrived, Marcus was in the living room watching television. "You need to leave," I said. He looked up, surprised. "What?" "I know about the medical scam. I know Rebecca isn't sick. I want both of you out of my house immediately." Marcus's surprise morphed into something else, something calculating. "Diane, let's talk about this calmly." "There's nothing to talk about. You lied to me. You stole from me. Get out." He stood up slowly. "Where exactly are we supposed to go?" "I don't care. That's not my problem anymore." "Actually, it kind of is your problem." "Excuse me." He smiled. It wasn't his charming smile. It was something cold and predatory. "You see, Diane, Rebecca and I have been living here for 6 months. In this state, that establishes us as legal tenants. You can't just kick us out. You have to go through the formal eviction process, which takes at least 90 days. Get out of my house." "Make me." We stared at each other, and for the first time, I saw Marcus for what he really was. Not a charming son-in-law fallen on hard times. A predator, and I had invited him into my home. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing through everything that had happened over the past 6 months. Every lie, every manipulation, every moment I had doubted myself. Around 2:00 a.m., I heard voices downstairs, Rebecca and Marcus talking in low tones. I got out of bed and crept to the top of the stairs. Told you she'd find out eventually, Rebecca was saying. Yeah, but I didn't think you'd be stupid enough to meet Ashley in public, Marcus shot back. I needed to get out of the house. I was going crazy pretending to be sick. Well, congratulations. You blew it. Now we need to accelerate the plan. My blood went cold. The plan? Are you sure this will work? Rebecca asked. Positive. I've done my research. Once we get her declared incompetent and get power of attorney, everything she owns becomes ours to manage. The house, the remaining savings, everything. But she seems pretty competent to me. That's where Dr. Richards comes in. He's already agreed to testify that she's showing signs of dementia. Memory issues, poor decision-making, inability to manage her finances. She doesn't have memory issues. She will after we plant enough doubt. And the financial stuff is easy to prove. She's made terrible financial decisions lately, giving us money left and right. That shows impaired judgment. Rebecca was quiet for a moment. I feel bad about this. Really? You feel bad? After everything we've been through, after losing everything, you feel bad about taking money from an old woman who's going to die soon anyway. She's my mother, Marcus. And she's had a full life. She had a husband who loved her. She raised her kid. Now it's our turn. We deserve this, Rebecca. We've worked hard our whole lives, and what do we have to show for it? Nothing. Meanwhile, she's sitting on over $500,000 in home equity, and she doesn't even appreciate it. What if she fights us? She won't. Once the court declares her incompetent, she won't have any legal standing. We'll be her guardians. We'll control everything. And if she becomes too much trouble, we can put her in a facility, a nursing home. There are cheap ones, $3,000 a month. We can afford that once we sell this house. I gripped the railing so hard my knuckles went white. They were going to have me declared incompetent. They were going to steal everything. They were going to put me in a nursing home. And there was nothing I could do about it. Or was there? I crept back to my room, closed the door quietly, and sat on my bed, thinking. If they were planning to have me declared incompetent, I needed to prove I wasn't. I needed documentation. I needed evidence. I needed a paper trail showing I was of sound mind. And more importantly, I needed to protect my assets before they could get their hands on them. I waited until 8 a.m., then called Margaret. Diane, it's early. What's wrong? Everything. I need your help. Can you come over? I'll be there in 20 minutes. True to her word, Margaret arrived quickly. I took her to my bedroom and closed the door. They're trying to steal everything, I whispered, then told her the whole story. The fake illness, the money, the overheard conversation. Margaret's face went from concern to furious. That son of a bitch? And your own daughter? Diane, I'm so sorry. What do I do? First, you need a lawyer, a good one. And you need to move fast before they can file anything with the court. I don't know any lawyers. I do. My nephew David. He specializes in elder law. Let me call him right now. David Chen was at my house by noon. He was young, maybe 40, with sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner. Mrs. Carlson, tell me everything. I did. When I finished, he was taking notes rapidly. Okay, here's what we need to do immediately. First, we're going to get you a full cognitive evaluation. We need documentation that you're mentally competent. Second, we're going to set up a trust to protect your assets. Third, we're going to start the eviction process. And fourth, he paused. Fourth, we're going to file a police report for financial exploitation of an elderly person. Police? I don't want to send my daughter to jail. Mrs. Carlson, what they did is a crime. Multiple crimes, actually. Fraud, theft by deception, exploitation. You don't have to press charges if you don't want to, but having a police report creates a paper trail that will be very useful if they try to challenge anything in court. How long will all this take? The evaluation can be done within a week. The trust will take a few weeks to set up properly. The eviction, as your son-in-law correctly pointed out, will take about 90 days. But, he smiled grimly, there are ways to make those 90 days very uncomfortable for them. Like what? Like having a police officer serve them with a criminal investigation notice. Like having a court-appointed conservator review all financial transactions. Like making it very clear that any further attempts to manipulate or exploit you will result in immediate arrest. For the first time in days, I felt a spark of hope. When do we start? Right now. Over the next 2 weeks, I moved through the legal process like a woman possessed. I had my cognitive evaluation. I passed with flying colors, showing no signs of dementia or impairment. David set up an irrevocable trust that protected my house and remaining assets. We filed the eviction notice. We filed the police report. Rebecca and Marcus received notice of everything simultaneously. They were, as David had predicted, not pleased. "Mom, you can't be serious," Rebecca said, holding the eviction notice with shaking hands. "You're going to make us homeless? You made that choice when you decided to steal from me. We'll fight this. We have rights. Fight it if you want, but you're leaving in 90 days regardless." Marcus was more direct. "This is a mistake, Diane. A big mistake. You're going to regret this." "Is that a threat?" "It's a fact. You're burning bridges with your only family. When you're old and alone and dying in this house with nobody to take care of you, you'll wish you'd been more forgiving." Get out of my sight. But they were right about one thing. I was alone. The realization hit me late one night as I sat in my living room, in the house that was too quiet, too empty, too full of memories. I had no one, no husband, no daughter, no grandchildren to carry on my legacy. I had protected my assets, but at what cost? Was I going to die alone in this house, surrounded by things instead of people? Maybe Marcus was right. Maybe I should have just let them have the money. Maybe family was more important than principle. I almost called Rebecca that night. Almost told her I forgave her, that she could stay, that we could work it out. But then I remembered the conversation I had overheard. She's going to die soon anyway. We deserve this. We can put her in a cheap nursing home. And I didn't make the call. Subscribe for more stories of survival, strength, and the courage it takes to stand up to those who would take advantage of us. Because at any age, we deserve to be treated with respect. We deserve to be protected, and we deserve to say no without guilt. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, you are stronger than you think.